backyards and little steel things all over China. Everybody was making steel, and the stuff was nothing, because you need sophisticated stuff. That failed, and then they said, I don't believe white folks lie. They said 30 million people died of starvation because of their policies. But Chairman Mao is the father of modern China, the Long March. But sometimes you get on a little roll and you get fat-headed, and you be cooking up policies in Beijing or in Havana that don't work. And when you do that, if something goes wrong, 10 million people dead, 5 million people in this place like China, 30 or 40 million people, you don't even know it's people dying so bad. So we have to be careful. That's what history is for us to study. Don't talk about Africa. And I think some of the leaders are getting a little better now, but in my day, see, in the old days that African kings and everybody never oppressed each other. They oppressed the people because they was right there and in tribe with everybody. It was, you know what I mean? He had more cows, but he didn't oppress nobody. They loved him. But after colonialism, they made this whole area now the whole region is now Nigeria, and you got 50 different kings, little local chiefs and stuff. And as the British is going to do, they're going to figure a way to get the underdog. See, they always made the underdog in colonialism. They gave that tribe power. Why? Because if you give the Kikuyus or something in Kenya power, why? They're the majority tribe. If you give them weapons and all that, they can fight you. But if you take the underdog, like if Germany or Japan would have captured America, guess who they would have given power to? Me and you. Why? Because we hate the white man. He done whooped on us all this time. We're the minority. So they gave power to Mexicans and niggas. Yes. So who would you want to win World War II? Germans might call you a black nigger, but they still give you power to keep power over this white man. Right? They can't give power to the white man because he'll turn around and fight him back. And who's going to keep eye on the white man better than anybody? Me and you. Because nobody knows him like me and you. And nobody knows all of his business. And now we got power. Can you imagine if the Germans and the Japanese would have won? Boy, the Negroes would have had a field day. Not to mention, I mentioned the other day, the lamb, Elijah Mukmuk, they was part of the Black Dragon Society. Y'all ever heard about that? The Japanese, yes, that's right. Take my word for it. The Negroes was part of the Black Dragon Society because the Black Dragon Society was pro-color, and the Japanese was celebrated in America by certain groups because they were going to whip the white man, right? And the brown man was going to whip the white man. For a while, he wasn't doing that bad. And that's the reason they put certain people in jail. They's too old for the doggone draft. Why they put the lamb in the penitentiary at age 44, 45 years old for draft evasion? They're too old for the draft, so it must be something else. Well, I'll just tell you, dear believers, you got to keep your eye open because there's a lot of stuff going on around here. Okay, revolution devour their own children. Yakin in our mission. Humble, grateful title holders. Always be humble, always be grateful. So the people will see it. not that you're showing off. One of the last things, al-Faqih. Al-Faqih. Well, when he ran, as they used to say, it's a nigger in a woodpile. Yeah, I remember that saying. That's what white folks used to say when something was wrong. But that's what they said, it's a nigger in a woodpile. You know. Yep. So, and everybody, hey man, like right now, everybody got their eye on us. We are a handful of people here, but it ain't nobody no important in the United States. That means that everybody, something done happened over these years. Okay, I'll wrap it up by putting it this way. Here was a mistake. We were very important as a motivator, as all of this, especially during the early times of the revolution. Okay, the revolution was already infiltrated from before. You know, the Shah was going to infiltrate everybody. So the institutions that were anywhere and everywhere were infiltrated. As time went on, first of all, the infiltrators will always go for a position of power. And as the years go on, they will bring in their people. So, overseas right now, many of the people that seem to be very good were actually infiltrators. How do you know? Because their policy coincides with the U.S. policy. They ignore who the white man tells them to ignore. They help who the white man tells them to help. They popularize at all costs. You notice if you see Crescent now, you don't see is that cold air?
Seems like it.
Yeah. Push that thing up a little bit, way up, it might blow a little higher. Okay, you ever notice that they ain't selling them boys anymore? You know why? There's nobody buying them. And the rich folks, we took a perspective of our view of America, what we need to do. They play like they didn't, no, we ain't gonna do that. We're gonna print big tafsir, and they loaded in tons of money. And we got through the best we could. Actually, it seems that it's the plan of Allah that we don't acquire too much money until the right time, and I'm thinking the time is now. Because when we go to California, we're going to start the legal process. So if it don't look the right way within a couple weeks, a month, when I come back here, I'm heading around the world. Because we're going to raise our funds and tell our story, whether they like it or not. And they can't stop you from doing that. So, and when we get the money, we're going to use the big money for good. But if we don't see that big money coming, okay, they cut us off here, cut us off there. We're going to get around. That's why we talked about be prepared to sleep under a bridge. That you're prepared. What is the possibilities? One possibility they kill you. Okay, they haven't done that. Great. I think that was a good idea that they didn't do that. Okay. The next thing was, as one of our friends called them sanctions, they cut us off from all income. And any income that comes is just to make things worse, not to make things better. That's the way they look at it. So of the things about the future is that it appears that to be a good example, we should not only challenge the system, overcome the system, but also do it with our own steam mostly. We've already done that once. No, this is the third cycle. This is the third cycle of success. The last one was a success. The encirclement of suppression before that was a success. Now, if you look at us now, this encirclement of suppression was a big success. Not only psychological guerrilla warfare work, that's not all. Masjid schools, businesses, geographical integrity. Some people kind of laugh. They say, well, you ain't built nothing over there. Just look like a dump. No, da, 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 da. I said, yes, but we haven't. It's all paid for. So if we wouldn't have did the work, we wouldn't have had nothing. Right? If we'd have been learned helplessness, we wouldn't have did nothing. Right? So we won. We're 100 miles ahead of everybody else with the whole system working to keep us back. That's not bad. That's inspirational. That right there is enough to tell people you can do anything you want to. Because they would encircle us, suppress us, leave, come back, circle around again, on and on and on, year in and year out. And we still here. Where's everybody else? Where's everybody? Where's Marty Braden? Where's all of our brothers that were so enthusiasts? Where's everybody? Where did they go? Why did they go? One of the brothers came and he was mentioning they opened a Shia joint. I said, it's good. Of course, we offered you could do anything you want here, that's no problem. But somebody gave them money. There ain't no Negro gonna spend their own personal money for nothing. And they out in the woods, so they come by. I'd like to get a book. Not only can you have that book, y'all just kicking off. Here's a whole thing. You're gonna need these, because I'm telling them what they need. They're supposed to be shears, but they don't know what they need. That's okay with me. So anyway, maybe it's to pull all the shears away. Because I know Iranians gave them that money. Don't you believe no niggas spent no personal money on nothing. Not in D.C. No sirree. One did a long time ago, but after the treatment, nobody else followed. Okay, anyway. So the question rises, you're not mad? Mad about what? Y'all starting to join out there 100 miles away? Instead of unity, and I said, this right here is on al-Faqih. Al-Faqih, I said, what's the sense of you being Shia? You just being a Shia to be a Shia, and you don't know nothing about Imam Khomeini, al-Faqih? Then what's the whole reason for, not to mention that immigrants treat niggas the same anyway. Yeah. They're not going to treat us like that. We're not going to put up with it, and if we do, it's to trick them. We have we have endured many insults, but it's all like we endure insults from Negroes. When we do, we just laughing at them and look at them. I hope you don't think that's going to work. That's our attitude. When they're doing something, today, right now, sometime, so, good God Almighty. Because you should have a reason for doing something. And sometimes there is no reason for doing it. We don't waste up no time trying to figure out the reason. We just say, ain't no reason, forget it, they can do what they want. But we have to, When we said yesterday, Stalingrad to Oakland, that's what we mean. This is the 75th anniversary. It changed the whole thing. Evidently, that's been our mission all along. What we're doing has been our mission all along. Allah trained us for it. We've not suffered what the other Negroes, let's call it a spiritual exhaustion. Or brownout. You know, brownout and burnout. Brownout is when the lights, because everybody using up too much electricity, and the lights flicker on and off for a while, but they come back on. It's a brownout. It means that they used to have them 30 years ago sometime. Now, burnout is different. A blowout, the whole grid goes down. In the movement, some people have a brownout. They get a little tired for a while, a little delirious. Then something happens, they come back. A burnout is when you pack up your stuff and quit. I quit. It's finished. That's burnout. Okay? You could be lucky and never have none of those. No brownout, no burnout, or nothing. But it is not against human nature. So in religion, what do we call it? We call it spiritual. Let's see. What I just called spiritual exhaustion. You're spiritually exhausted from messing with people. Some of our brothers recently, the big timers, I let them know that country too don't owe me nothing. Basically, Iran don't owe me nothing. Y'all don't owe me nothing. You know, I did what I did because this is what I wanted to do. I wasn't doing it for fame. I wasn't doing it for fortune. I wasn't doing it for none of that. So technically, you don't owe me nothing. And I would do the exact same thing all over again, regardless of you. Remember, just like they send Negroes around to mess up, the leaders that are government leaders do exact same thing to the people to run the good people away. And all that's on purpose. So I tell them we're working on a global Negro movement. We're going to do what we trying to do. And we're going to be laughing and hugging everybody on the way. The last thing is when people, they put too much importance on oppression. Well, this is a simple question. Could you have had Moses without Pharaoh? I'm talking about human terms. Of course not. Who helped Moses grow in all ways? Pharaoh. Without Pharaoh, you wouldn't have a need for Moses, right? Did the Quraysh help the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Of course they did. They were don't y'all, when y'all come, don't y'all pay no attention to that man Muhammad, boy. He caused a lot of trouble around here. So when the people from Medina came, they said, what did you say? Stay away from Muhammad. He calls himself a prophet. What else did he say? He says about our buck and our Joes. And they say, the Jews told us up there in Medina, you know, they didn't think we were going to pay attention, that y'all got a prophet coming too because it smelled. They tell the Jews just talking, you know, they said these Arabs ain't going to pay no attention to this. But the ones from Medina, out of all others, are nobody paying no attention. But the ones that were sitting there with the Yahud, you think the Yahud was pushing Islam? No, he just talking, pushing himself, but he prepared them. So when they got to Medina, the people run out, stop, don't go listen to who? What's his name? Muhammad. What does that mean? Praiseworthy, one worthy of praise. Okay, so he's a praising guy. Well, what kind of guy is he? Man, that boy is crazy. He got all this mumble jumble talk. He's honest as man in town, other than him being honest and al-Amin and all of that. And he's talking that religion. Man, that guy talking about one God. You see these 300 and some gods we got in 300. Now suppose we had one God. Where would all our revenue come from? Everybody can come. If they ain't got a God, they can bring them along with it. You know, I think it was Umar was telling a story about he went on a trip and he made this little idol out of dates. He said, I went a long while and I got a little hungry, so I took a piece off the idol and ate it. Said, before I finished the journey, I ate up my little you know, but that was for him significant. To us, it's significant. Right? He made him a little God, and the God becomes food. And God couldn't even stop. He could at least say, don't eat me, I'm the Eli. If you eat me, it's finished. Poor little dates, God couldn't even talk. Good God Almighty. Okay. Now, we got stuff like that going on here in America. Do you think about it? We got to show people with learned helplessness. The white man is God. Let's get that straight. Other people, I don't care what nobody say. The people act like the white man or his son, Jesus, which is getting whiter. For a while, he was darkening up. That boy getting that shit. He's been using bleaching cream. Pretty soon, he gonna be blonde-haired and blue-eyed. Isn't he getting lighter? They going back, man. That old brown-looking, dark-skinned Jesus in late 60s and early 70s. He's still around in the 80s. Jesus is getting more Eurocentric around where I've been going. That's Jesus, that's great. Anyway, I'll close with this. Look, we have to not hold anything against people for being people. People throughout history have followed the powerful. It ain't their fault. It's not the Negro's fault that he listened to boss man. And therefore, we're not going to ride a broom on or anything. We're just going to just tell the truth. And anybody, even after they've heard the truth 100,000 times, it's Allah's job to call the people to account, not me and yours. So, we wish the people well, and we want to be a good model and a good example. And I really will close. This is a wonderful feeling to be able to stand up for the Quran and the Hadith and history and what we feel is reality. It's a good feeling. I don't care what nobody say. It's good to not be broken down by the system and not be drugged down the street in front of them or not be rotting in prison. If something were to happen and you have to rot in prison, it's no big deal. You know why? Because you're right, you're doing what's right, and it's fi-sabilillah. It don't make no difference. At a certain time, this is the reality, that we want to work to get to paradise. That's the whole thing. We want to work to get to paradise, but in the meantime, we want to avoid spiritual exhaustion, grateful and thankfulness, and Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Are there any questions or comments about what we talked about before? Remember, the harder they work against us and try to isolate or cut off, that means you're doing the right thing. You know, the U.S. is seriously into isolation. So the Russians, we don't like you again. So you don't like it. We don't like your Ukrainian policies. So we're gonna isolate you. Syrians, we don't like you. We're gonna isolate you, cut you off. As one of our brothers said, sanction. So they don't like us, so they sanction us. We're sanctioned or isolated. It does make a difference. Okay, if there's no questions or comments, then inshallah we'll be ready for Tuesday night class. I think by next, after visiting the pool, maybe by next week we'll head on out the end of this week to California, inshallah. And that's the visible start of this period, but this period has been in process for the last several years. We've been into this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.